I do want to comment also on what Chris said as far as a consumption tax, because I ran out of time. I mean, I like the idea of a consumption tax. I like the idea of taxing consumption rather than production. The thing is, you do have to adjust for the regressivity of it. I think you can do that, though, with how you, I mean, there's a lot of options on that. You can actually give out cards that people actually waive sales tax up to a certain amount. My biggest concern with the proposal is that, as I said when I spoke previously, we're $1 billion down in general revenue. This year alone, it's a $500 million shortfall from the previous year, and it scares the bejesus out of me what's going to happen if we phase into this and we have a substantial dip in general revenue. Because let me tell you what else is going on at the exact same time. Under the new federal health care law, when that kicks in about 2 years, a year and a half, we have 410,000 more Missourians that are going to go on Medicaid overnight. 410,000. That is at least another $1 billion commitment out of discretionary general revenue from the state of Missouri. And I can tell you right now, if that happens, where that money's coming from. It's going to come from K through 12 and higher ed, because it's the only place that's big enough for it to come from. Here's the bigger problem. And Chris and I mean, you know, I've said this before. I think the two of us have probably passed more legislation in the last 3 years than any other senator representative combination. You know, we work very well together, but there are some things we disagree on. And one thing about the whole idea of we need more revenue, we have to generate more revenue, the half of the equation that's not being discussed is in the last 3 years, appropriations from the state of Missouri for Medicaid have increased by $1.6 billion. So if you want to know where the money's going, that's where it's going. I don't think that you can necessarily have a discussion about bringing in new revenue when you're not talking about the fact that there's a program out there that nobody seems to want to talk about that is consuming the largest part of where the revenue increase would be going and is going right now. I think there's a balance there. I mean, I think one reason we get along so well is we talk all the time. I think communication is a critical part of that. And we debate these things. Just like we come here and we speak to you, we sit down in our offices and we talk about this stuff, and usually by the end of the conversation, we've come up with some agreements on some things. That's how it's supposed to work. This is supposed to be an exchange of ideas. You know, on the consumption tax, again, I think it's a very intriguing idea. I'm very concerned about what happens when it phases in, especially during the phase-in, and whether or not we have a substantial dip in general revenue. Because we cannot take it right now.
Our debate with him, he makes this big damn long speech